What's going on, my business associates? You're tuned in to another episode of Whiskey Business. My name's Jesse, and if you're new here, welcome, and thanks for joining us. Today we're going to be reviewing a super budget Islay Scotch. McClelland's Islay single malt Scotch. This was actually my first ever Islay whiskey, and at the time, I absolutely loved it. It was incredible. The only thing that I have had prior to this, with a little bit of that smoke and peat, is the Bells or Teacher's Highland Cream. Both still great blended malts for cocktails, but I'm more into the quality sipping nowadays. So I don't tend to gravitate towards those as much. But this is McClelland's Islay single malt Scotch. It retails for $49.95 at the local LCBO. So if you've got any Islay or McClelland's specifically, why don't you pour a dram and let's get into some whiskey business. Alright, so McClelland's Islay. McClelland's has 3 to their core offering, I believe. They have a Highland, an Islay, and a Lowland. They could actually have one more. I'm not 100% sure, but as far as the LCBO goes, they only have the 3. This is distilled by Morrison Bowmore Distillers, so you guys probably have heard of Bowmore. This is believed to be one of Bowmore's younger expressions, maybe just the stuff that didn't make the cut, and it's going into this more budget-friendly single malt Scotch. It's coming in at 80 proof or 40% ABV, non-age stated. It is chill filtered and is probably colored. This is believed to be anywhere from 3 to 7 years old. So, on the nose, very medicinal. You got iodine, some eucalyptus or aloe vera gel. Almost hospital-like, like the air in a hospital. Clean, sanitary, but like there's just a smell that hospitals have, in my opinion. Maybe like a metallic, sterile note. Briny, salty sea air, like you're right on the coast. There's some smoky char in there, like charred meat on the fire. It's a very light meatiness. Definitely not no Ardbeg, but it's there. Definitely some charred oak. The peat is there. It's a little bit of a musty peat. Maybe like decaying vegetation or like hay or grass, like decaying grass or hay. After a while, with your nose up in the glass, you get a very faint little bit of crisp green apple in there. It's very, very faint. As well as some oversteeped black tea bitterness, which is probably coming from the malt. Overall, the nose is alright. It's nothing to write home about, but it's an Islay, for sure. It's an Islay. It's a good gateway. If you never tried an Islay and you don't want to spend a lot, I would say go for this or the Islay Mist 8-year. This is a blend, so it's not a single malt, but I think this actually holds up better than that as far as an Islay. Onto the palate. Cheers. it hits up front with like a heavy peat that tastes overly smoked, and again that decaying vegetative note. It's a little musty, like some wet hay. Yeah, it's definitely over smoked. If that makes possible, if that is possible, like they smoked it way too long. Think going into like a smoker's house and you don't smoke and it's just filled with smoke and it's like, this is too much smoke. That's kind of what I'm getting here. It's not super off-putting, but I think it just kind of leaves it a little bit unbalanced for my palate. It's almost like this is a second run peat, like they already used this peat for some Bowmore, and then they reused it for the McClelland's. Like it's just old musty peat, I guess, is what's coming to mind. And almost like if you've ever had a barbecue going and or a campfire and you got to put it out and you put all that water on it and it just billows with like the most bitter, like crude smoke, sooty smoke you've ever smelled in your life. That's kind of what this is coming through as on the palate. There's a slight sweetness in there, maybe from burnt sugar. I mean, I'm getting that charred oakiness and stuff. This is like a burnt sugar sweetness, the bitter scale. It's a nice addition to all that over smoking, but again, the sugar tastes like it was overdone as well. Overall, on the palate, it's super simple, and as far as my palate has come, I gotta say this one is not super appealing to me anymore. It's what it is peat. Used, spent, over smoked peat, and that's really it. I used to get like honeydew melon when I first opened this. I don't know how. I think that green apple on the nose that comes through after you got your nose in there for a bit may have been the honeydew melon, but that does not come through on the palate whatsoever. So as far as my palate has evolved, or as far as my palate goes now, this isn't up to par or gonna satisfy me. So the finish, geez. The palate is like a fiery assault on my mouth, and then it just comes to like a screeching halt of flavor. So like once you swallow it, you get that smoke lingering for like 1 to 2 seconds, and then it just rips the e-brake and just takes off in the other direction. It's gone, like almost like you didn't have anything. Maybe like you're still in a room where someone had just smoked, so it's like in your throat, but not in a good way. It's not on your palate. It's more just like smoke in your throat. And like I said, this isn't a super appealing smoke in my opinion. So, reading my notes, I said, assault of the mouth comes to a screeching halt upon swallowing, and all disappears but the faint smoke of the peat gun, or the gunshots fired that once filled the air. So yeah, like I said, you're in a room with smoke, it's in the throat, it's not on the palate, it's kind of just like stale, gross. You don't really want to be breathing that in. That's what this is coming across as. As far as mouthfeel goes, it's water. It's watery. It's 40% ABV, but still, it's very light. And I wish I could say more. It's super budget, readily available here at the LCBO. but I just think there's better options like the Islay Mist 8, especially if you're going to be like mixing it or something. This isn't necessarily a go-to for me. So my overall notes are bitter, smoky hay, thin, and definitely not a nice neat pour. Let's go over my ratings. On the nose, it's going to get a low 55. Not great. The palate, an even worse 30. I used to like this, guys. Like, I'm not hating, but my palate has evolved, and I appreciate the quality. I'm much more willing to upfront $1 for some higher quality stuff than this. The finish is going to get a 15 because, like I said, I felt like I was orally assaulted and just left to dry. It was not a great experience overall. Mouthfeel is a 15, which doesn't get the mouthfeel doesn't come into the overall rating, but the overall rating is based on an average of the nose, palate, and finish. Hey Google, what is 55 plus 30 plus 15?
The answer is 100.
What is 100 divided by 3?
The answer is approximately 33.333333.
So that brings McClelland's Islay Single Malt Scotch to an average score of 33.3333. Would I buy it again? Probably not. Even at sale price, which is like $5 off, I don't think it's a value buy at all. Islay Mist 8-year, I would much rather drink. Considering this is an Islay, there's not much iodine / salty brininess to it, but yeah. That's going to do for this review of McClelland's Islay Single Malt. If you did enjoy, please leave a like. Comment down below if you've ever tried any of the McClelland's offerings and what you think of them. Are they worth the money? Are they a good budget sipper? I know on the Whiskey Vault they talked about this and they didn't mind it, and even mentioned that they keep this in a decanter as a budget pour, which I wouldn't, but, you know, let me know what you guys think down below, and if you want to stay up to date with all of my posts, follow me on Instagram right here, and jingle that little bell notification icon, and like I already said, please leave a like if you enjoyed, I really appreciate it, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. It's free, and it really helps the channel to grow. Anyways, guys, this is Whiskey Business, or Jesse, and I'm out. Cheers. I don't even want to take another sip.